everybody. This is Toy Addict 26 here, back again with a very exciting chat. Today I'm catching up with my old friend Brian from Super 7. And how you doing, Brian? It's been a while. It's been about 4 months since we last spoke.
It's been a hot minute. But, you know, we're here.
It's crazy timing-wise because when we last spoke, which seems like it was yesterday, you were launching all sorts of products, and there was all sorts of things in motion, but not complete. And I'm talking about Wave 2 landing, Wave 4 landing from Thundercats. And, you know, here they are. They're on my shelf. And, you know, we actually, we guessed wrong. I was able to fit everything in there so far. Wave 5 is not going to fit for sure.
It's all right. But shelves are cheap.
But, man, they look amazing, finally in hand. You know, with slight hiccups, like, you know, things happen with all this COVID and everything. I would have to say that probably the only figure that I found was the most problematic in terms of the final production was Tigra. I personally liked the final colors. I liked the more LJN, more kind of, I would say like an aquamarine, bluish color to the outfit. But the elbow pad, and I know that's something that's been brought up a lot. I know that you've mentioned in other interviews that there's no way to do a replacement part, but what I was thinking was along the lines like how you did with Panthro shorts. Couldn't you guys do just like a soft vinyl rubber elbow pad that could just slide through? You know, you remove the hand peg and just slide it through the forearm.
You could. I don't know that it would always stay in place. I will say that just if that figure ever gets remade, it will have a new forearm. I mean, a new elbow and everything. So
the original plan was for the elbow pad to be sculpted into the actual arm versus it being like a
last time we talked about, somebody was asking me about why it wasn't painted. And I was like, what do you mean it's not painted? And then I was like, oh no, it's actually not even in the final tool for some reason. So they tooled an incorrect part instead of tooling the new part, they mirrored the other one. Oh, wow. When they went to make the tool. Sometimes when you're getting people that make molds, if they've already done all the engineering on one part, they'll just mirror it because it's faster. And so even though we had provided a sculpt with the extra pad, they didn't notice the pad. So they just mirrored it when they went to tooling to make, for their job to go faster. And we had samples that had the pad on them.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I still don't know why it ended up without the pad, because we have it with and without the pad tooled. So there's no good answer for that other than I don't know why they did it. But at the same time, as soon as that was the very problematic factory for us. So as soon as those were done, we were like, everything's out. And there's no going back because they know there's no more work. So they're like, why would we make you an extra part? Like, we're not doing anything.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. But, one of the things I was thinking about, and I don't know if you considered this type of approach, but back when Mattel used to do the subscription model, they wouldn't necessarily wait for the specific character to release to give you a part based on that character. They would kind of throw in, like a Whiplash bonus head with this Man-at-Arms, or, just as an example. Have you considered possibly, like, rather than waiting to make another Tigra or have another slot for Tigra, maybe just including that elbow pad with whatever other Thundercat you release, like in Wave 7, maybe?
Generally, we try to keep it to that figure. So if you're buying that figure, everything in there makes sense. Like, so if you think about the guy that maybe isn't collecting everything, but just like wants that one character, and he buys that character, it's like, why are you giving me an arm for another dude? Like, when, it's just trash. Like, so we generally try to fill up the box with stuff from that character. I do think that we can go back and make it available at some point or figure something out. Putting it onto that arm is going to be a process, difficult, but not impossible. It's a lot easier to do it at the other end when things are hot. But yeah, there's a lot of people that would like to see that elbow pad available. So we've done a lot of replacement packs in the past. Generally speaking, we end up with a lot of replacement packs in the warehouse that people don't claim or don't want, even though we mail them out to everybody. So I think that's definitely one that we're going to come back on at some point and be like, all right, here's an updated arm, and then we'll get it out to whoever wants it.
So you feel that the only fix would be a full arm versus maybe a piece that they could heat?
Well, it would be probably making that piece for the arm. And then you would have to, like, same thing. It would be like, okay, then you have to heat it up and swap it out and pop it in and all those things.
Because my thought process was immediately, a little bonus pack like you did with Panthro, give us like the call head for Tigra and the little elbow pad.
I like how you're moving this straight into give me some extra heads while you're there.
Yeah.
If you're gonna remake that elbow, you should just throw in a couple of heads while you're at it.
Yeah, man, of course. Yeah,
sure, it works for me.
You never have too many heads. Yeah. But yeah, no, I get it. It's some things are just out of your control, and mainly because of the conditions of how things are going on right now. Even though here in the States, we're not feeling the threat so much of the virus, it's still lingering across the world, and it's still making things very difficult for us. So I can only imagine.
I mean, if you're watching the news where it's like, they're just boarding people up in their houses in China and all sorts of other stuff, like, you cannot enter China still. Like, Vietnam opened up June 1, and by June 4th, we had people in the factory in Vietnam. So that was really great, but you still can't go back and forth to China and go to the factories there. And nothing replaces being there in person and going through things. It's sort of like trying to think of a good example, but it's like trying to learn a foreign language, by audio cassette versus like somebody just sticking you in the middle of that country. Be like, I guess I got to start talking now.
Sink or swim.
So it just takes so much more time than it should right now to get stuff correct.
But on topic with that, it's kind of interesting, the fact that it seems like, even though we were expecting it to be a little longer of a wait, apparently wave 5 is on the water and arriving soonish, and Chitara is arriving very soon as well, right?
Chitara, we shipped out. I know we shipped out all the wholesale orders already, and now customer orders will go out. And so what that means is, like, when we say wholesale orders, it's like the big bads and Entertainment Earths. They're not, true wholesale, but that way we ship them theirs first so that they could also start shipping to their customers earlier, versus if we ship to our customers, then we ship to them, would be 3 times the wait for them. So we're shipping them to customers, I believe, starting this week. I think we finished all the other orders last week. So people should be getting Chitara in the next, week or two from most everybody, I would think. Maybe 3 weeks if you're, depending on how long it takes for some of those people to process it. But Chitara, they all came to us, where normally some people will pick up in China,
right?
Because they picked up the original ones in China that we had to pull back. Then we paid for all the shipping, so it came to us and then out to them. So Chitara is done. Wave 5 is on the water. Wave 5 should be here pretty soon. Water times are coming down. They're not great yet, but they are coming down. It's not 3 months these days. It's like 2 months and a week. It's like, I'll take it all day long.
That's awesome, man.
That one, and then wave 6, which is the LGN wave, should be back up in another week or so. it was up for a minute, and then there's some, I don't know, some extenuating political circumstances that popped up. We had to wrap up. So then Wave 6 will be back up in another week or two. And then after that, it'll be Wave 7. And then obviously I've actually seen, no, I've got test shots. I'm not at the office today, very clearly, with my exciting background of gray walls. Looks like I'm at like the worst hotel ever. We've got test shots of Mandora's motorcycle, the electric charger. We've got test shots of Mandora. We actually have had the next round of test shots on Thunder Tank for a while. Like every time I go to take a picture of it, though, it's like I have to take a weird angle with the phone because it's not a real camera; it's a phone.
Right.
Doing this, and and then I look at the photo, and it distorts, angles or perspective because it's gigantic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I post this, there's going to be 8 million comments about how it's all out of whack or not in line or distorted this way or the other. So hopefully this week, when I get up to the office, I'm going to just have somebody do a video of just me holding this test shot. Be like, all right, look at it. It's crazy. It's gigantic and it's real.
Yeah, so, I get the whole part of, you're trying to keep customers informed with your videos and pictures, and I appreciate that. But I know what you mean. Like your efforts sometimes, it's like people are just complaining and they don't understand. It's a mobile phone photo. It's not a professional.
Well, and then there'll be people that like, you should be taking better pictures of these. It's like we don't have the bandwidth to take that many beautiful pictures of that many stages of the process of that many toys. There's so many that we're making. Like Chitara, people are like, she looks fat. I'm like, I'm holding it. It's just like the way the light shines on it. You can look at it like this or that. It's like, what color is this woman's dress? Do you remember that whole thing from years ago?
Yeah.
We're arguing about it.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's like, trust me, I am holding this thing and she is not fat or pregnant. Because I'm going to not ship it to you because they put the wrong hip tooling in, but I'm going to ship you a pregnant one? Like, come on. So, Chitara looks phenomenal, and I think people will be really psyched on her, and hopefully you'll have it very soon. But it turned out great, and the next wave's turning out, those figures look great. The electric charger is awesome. The Thunder Tank is bonkers.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's crazy. So, and then, there's a lot more after that.
So let me ask you this. Now that we have Wave 5 on the water and it's final, I know you mentioned that Vultureman's height was a little bit taller. I would say it's kind of weird because I was looking at original imagery from Rankin Bass and stuff, and in the character sheets, he's always kind of like hunched over in a way, and because of the way his feet are, he has those avian feet. It kind of perches him up, so it's almost like if you're walking on your tippy toes. So is that what made you go and make him much? Because in the picture, the solicitation photo where they're all standing in front of Cat's lair, he looks like he's Mumra's size. So that's what I guess people were like, I don't remember him being that big.
No, he's not that big. I mean, he's a little bit taller than everybody, but not much. He's in scale. Yeah, he's not.
Because I know he takes a super serum at one point and he becomes really big. But, that one particular photo is like, whoa, he looks really big.
Yeah, I think it's just, they're renders. So they're placing figures in perspective. They probably literally didn't scale him down enough. And I'm looking at it going, fuck, that looks cool, man. Oh, my God, they're going to fight,
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I got no problem with the height. It's an amazing figure, and it's awesome to finally, come full circle with the mutants because, we've been waiting for a while. But like you said, with Wave 4 and beyond, we're looking at really good quality product because you got the new the factory working on that. And, I was surprised to see Wave 5 coming stateside so quickly. You mentioned Mandora, but I did want to say, I don't know if you were aware, but she's not in the pre-order status. So, I'm sure some customers are wondering, She's not in there at all.
Yeah, you're okay. I'll get that added to that.
Yeah, because I'm
And
sure
then
people
we got
know.
I know that page is duplicated on the new site. I have to move it over, so now there won't be sort of competing sites
Right.
between the pre-order site and the Super 7 site. It'll all be rolled into one. But yeah, Mandora, we're already at test shots. You know, Mandora's the electric charger is cool. You know,
Awesome.
how we can slide the wheels up inside and lock it in place and everything.
Yeah, that's a really awesome piece. And now that you mentioned the LJN line, that Wave 6, that kind of came out of left court because we, customers, regular fans were expecting, the next wave, maybe Snarf, the Thunderkittens, and we get this homage wave, which, to be honest with you, I was blown away. It has a feel of like an SDCC or Comic Con exclusive wave to me, just because of how different it is in comparison to what we've gotten so far. But that being said, it was a brilliant idea. I want a second wave with LJN inspired other characters. But I was wondering, have you considered possibly blister carding these guys? Because if you see like what Hasbro's doing with their like Toy Biz,
Toy Biz, like Legends and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. Would you be able to do like a one-off of blister carding these guys so they really look like, like an LJN figure from the 80s?
We probably could get away with an oversized blister if we didn't have as many accessories as we have. Because then what you end up with is like, here's the card, with how heavy those figures are, and how heavy those figures are, plus all the accessories, and you put that on a blister. Now your blister's got to be, this big, right? To the inside of that box. You put that on a card, and it's going to be like just bending that thing. Could it be done? Sure. And it's a fun idea. I like the idea from just a nostalgia point of view. But the reason we ended up in the boxed space to begin with was to, make sure that we could deliver that packaging pristine rather than like, not pristine, I guess is the right word. But it's got that LJN background inside the box. It's a cool thing to do. It'd be interesting to do it where you just do like the figure and like one accessory and be like, okay, that's the LJN version. That could be cool.
Yeah, because I mean, like Hasbro carded a Galactus, for God's sakes, like 10 years ago. And Galactus was like, I don't know, like 15 inches tall. Yeah. I don't know.
I like how you're like, it's 15 inches tall and it's like 3 feet.
Yeah, the card was humongous, man. But I think that would have been like the icing on the cherry on top, because wow, I love the fact that Mumra is, since he doesn't bring all the extras that the regular one did, that he's priced just like the other guys. You know what I mean? So even though he's a bigger dude, since he doesn't have the cape, he doesn't have Mama, you guys were able to keep him in that same price point as the rest of them.
I think he's a little more expensive.
He is? Oh, because I remember the preview, the pre-order, maybe something was wrong there. I could have sworn it was the same price.
I mean, it's still a lot of plastic, regardless. He's gigantic. I think I don't think he's as expensive, but I think he is more expensive.
Oh, okay.
Than the others. He's not a standard one.
Okay.
But, this line was definitely sort of the, there's a bunch of people that don't have the core characters from when we did them and want to get into it, or that are just sort of like more passive people. We've got a lot of people asking us, I only want a couple of these guys like this. These aren't the ones I had when I was a kid, blah, blah, blah. We're like, okay, where's an easy sort of entry place that we can put some stuff out there for people, make it available again. But if you've already got it, you don't feel like you have to buy it again. I don't want to be like, oh, we added a head and now everybody's like, fuck, now I got to buy it again. Right. Like, how do we make it where it's like, if you want it and you're that guy, great. But if you're not, it's okay. You can skip this wave altogether. You can skip this wave altogether and just wait for regular old Wave 7 to come along.
So Wave 7 is going to be like I guess, are you going to reveal any new pre-orders during Comic-Con, or are you just continuing your regular pace like during COVID where you're just, revealing stuff on your site and on social?
Yeah, I mean, there's something going on with Thundercats at San Diego. There will be a Thundercats item at San Diego, but it will not be Wave 7.
So that'll be in stock?
Huh?
That'll be in stock at Comic-Con?
Yes, there'll be a Comic-Con Thundercat of some sort.
Will it be attainable for non-attendees?
Yeah. I mean, you've got we always make sure that there's some available on the Monday after Comic-Con. Like, we know not everybody can get there. So yes.
Okay.
It won't be brutal.
Okay.
But don't wait a month either.
Is it a figure, or is it like an accessory? Or?
I don't know. Well, I'll have to find out together, won't we?
All right. So Thunder Tank is moving along. Dreads are moving along just good. I know you showed us an image of the box when the original solicitation came up. Is that the final box, or has there been any tweaks to it? Anything like that along the lines of the artwork and stuff?
I don't think there's anything crazy that's changed. It'll probably, it's half an inch larger this way, or there's stuff like that that'll happen based on the pack out of the material. But I don't think there's anything material that has changed, or there's nothing that's changed about the artwork or anything else like that.
What are your predictions on launch as far as stateside? Do you think this will be shipping? I know Sideshow has it listed like September. Do you think it's looking like it might reach us by that time or later?
Let's see. We're in July right now. I'd say we probably have another month worth of tests to go. That's August. Production will probably be September. It'll probably be shipping from the factory in September, end of September.
Oh, okay. So it's more like November for us.
These days, yeah, if it's a little over 2 months on the water instead of 3 months, yeah, it'll probably be November.
Got it.
So, but like I said, I'll try this week to get somebody to hold the camera and I can actually physically hold it and move it around. That way, like I said, I don't take a cell phone shot that somebody then goes, okay, it's askew, and I've tweaked it in Photoshop to align up all the straight lines, and then this is wrong. It's like, trust me, it's all square. It's right. We've been working on this for months. So,
yeah, that's a really big project, and it just makes me wonder. I mean, with Wave 7, because Wave 6 was that LJN surprise. Wave 7 is, would you say, are you going to give closure to some of the open slots, the empty slots?
You're like, who can I get him to say he's going to include in? Like, where's Wily Kid? Where's Wily Cat? Where's Snarf? Where's, like, I know who you're asking for. I know what's going on.
I'll ask you this, so you don't even tell me when
you're going to be excited to see these people.
This is what I would ask. How different are the kittens going to be compared to what Mattel gave us? Like, are you, because you've given your little Super 7 touch to the Mattel originals. So were you aiming to do like a significant difference? So for people that I guess say have that 2-pack already can say, oh, I really need the Super 7 version.
I hope that when those figures get released, that yes, you will think, oh wow, I really need these versions.
Okay, that's good enough. That pretty much clears it up for me. So yeah, man, just super excited to see Wave 5. I know that should be approaching very soon. It almost seems like just a couple months ago we were like, oh, we still have to wait probably till like September, maybe October for the next wave, but it's on the water already. So now you gotta almost kind of speed things up in a way, because you got Wave 6. Mandora is pretty much, her and the Thunder Tank are the only things that are pending. So wave 6, you're going to get on the ball with that, and then I'm guessing wave 7 would be shipment in 2023, of course.
Yeah, we've got to look at it. I mean, obviously, originally wave 6 was supposed to go live almost 2 months ago now.
Wow.
Has it been almost 2 months? I want to say that at least a month, maybe 6 weeks. I don't know. And anybody watching this in the future, none of those dates will mean anything to you. So, we were going to be very soon, like halfway to the next release anyways. So, yeah, there's plenty more Thundercats to make. There's a lot of Thundercats out there.
There is. There's definitely a lot of Thundercats. One particular one that my friend brought up the other day, which I wasn't even aware of him, is it's one of Mumra's disguise forms. He was kind of like a gnome, like a little old gnome guy that rode a cricket. Do you remember that one?
I want to say, when you said gnome, it made sense. And when you said ride a cricket, I was like, wait, do I remember that at all, or am I just making it up?
It's a one episode thing. I think his name is like the same name twice, like Geronimo or something like that. And it was just,
I'm going to be honest and say, half of me wants to picture. I'm like mentally picturing, like, I think I remember him as the gnome, and then when you said cricket, I was like, I don't remember the cricket at all.
He was riding.
So maybe I'm thinking of something else altogether that has no correlation.
Well, anyhow, that would be a really cool character. Since you're doing deep cuts anyways, that's something that would be cool because, even for people that don't know, he's Mumra. It's a cool looking kind of character that fits that Thundercats layer, that feel of the cartoon. So moving along, we got a lot of information for Thundercats. Appreciate that. And, it's like I said, last time we spoke, so many things were pending delivery. They finally arrived.
Yeah,
and I'm super excited, man, with this line. I mean, like I said, you can't please everybody, but you guys are doing a damn good job at getting the product out. There's a lot of positivity out there. So, don't let the negative nannies get you guys down. You guys are rocking the house with these products.
I'm trying my best. I know not everyone believes it, but we are actively trying to sell you the best toys possible.
All things considered,
it's not a good business model to make bad toys.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. So moving on to another 80s property, which is also pending final production, Silverhawks. How are we looking as far as getting our first look at the paint deco that's going to be on these?
We've had a lot of really nice paint samples. The problem is every time that we get one, they've overpainted it. They want to make sure the paint's on there. And so then it looks kind of gummy in the joints and some of the other stuff sometimes. So I'm literally the same thing. Like, oh, I should totally take a picture and a video of me turning this so you can see the effect. And then I'm like, oh, but we've already commented that we need them to change the paint on this area. And I'm like, the moment I turn it, somebody's gonna be like, look, it's painted shitty. Look at that area. And I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
Like when is it? It's this really fine line of like, I want to show you guys like all this stuff, but if I show it to you, there's going to be problems with it because it's an early sample. Because these are the problems that we work through. Like this part looks great, but fix this and watch the paint application here or fix that. And I've just got to figure out how we can get people to understand that when we share images, that I'm going to show you something, but it's not correct. Which is sort of a weird thing. It's like, I'm going to show you a picture of something that doesn't look like what I promised you.
Yeah. I mean, you put not final in bold type, and I mean, for those that don't read, that's I would say those are the only people that can complain because you're listing it there, and it's been in the industry has been done for so long. It says product not final. Final product may vary. So you're not really committing to what you're showing as a final product. It's just I feel that social media, everybody wants to have a voice, and everybody wants to be heard. And sometimes I feel that more of the negative people, more like I would call it trolls, want to be heard than the people that actually like the product. Because the people that like the product, they're just like, thank you. They hit the little heart on the post and move on. Yeah. Once in a while you get praise and stuff from certain, social media accounts, but those that are happy they don't bitch, they don't complain.
Yeah.
It's only those that are unhappy. But so well, hopefully you get a sample that's not too too thick on the paint.
The paint is really cool.
And so is it gonna like shimmer, or it's gonna have like a glare?
Yeah, it's got sort of a wink and a shimmer to it as you go through it, where it's like, okay, because if you go back to the cartoons, and it's hard because the toys were that vac metal, so your memory is like vac metal, vac metal, vac metal. It's like, no, okay, go back to the cartoons, like, this is a very sort of almost lightish blue gray, and this is a dark slate blue, and then they would animate the white and black lines coming across them to show the shine, or put in some shadows for the gloss. And so for us, like, same thing. It's like it's the right color at its natural state, and then as you turn it, you see all the shines, the pearlescent reflective, and comes across it. So it's like, oh, it's not vac metal, but it's still this metallic color. Like there's a color to it. There's not it's not metal first. Does that make sense? It's color first with metallic, rather than metallic first that happens to be color.
Got it. But it sounds good. I mean, of course, you can explain it
until I show you one. And
some people be like, oh, okay, yeah. It's just not in their head. But that's cool, man. So final production on that, you think
wave one is taking a lot longer than we thought it was going to take, but wave 2 is moving really fast. So wave 1 and wave 2 will probably come very much on top of each other.
Oh, okay.
We've got some really good samples of wave 1. I mean, wave 1 will leave before wave 2, but it's going to be like wave 1 leaves, and within 60 days, wave 2 leaves. So they'll be right on top of each other.
Man, I can't wait to see that Monstar in hand. That thing is...
It's so stupid big, and I wish I was at the office, because if I was at the office, I'd be like, all right, here's this If you thought Mumra was big, wait till you see Monstar. I mean,
I saw it at PowerCon last year, and it blew me away.
And the one at PowerCon was even undersized.
Really? Oh, my God.
The one at PowerCon was still like 10% too small.
Oh, wow.
And, like the chest itself, I mean, I'm not exaggerating. The chest itself in diameter is like this big.
Wow.
It's like a grapefruit. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, holy moly, we're, same thing. We're building a monster.
Gonna have to make shelf space for that guy, because he's definitely not gonna fit in here.
Yeah, he's and then a bunch of buzzsaws, those characters, they're just big, beefy characters.
Yeah.
They're not people. They're big robots.
Dimensions. And the scale is very important. And that's one of the things with like Pumaira and Chitara, that they are petite and they are smaller than the males, which was something that was very important. You didn't want to have like females like towering. I mean, there are tall women. They're like those big barbaric women, but typically in the cartoons, these characters were petite and shorter, So it's really good that you're paying attention to scale. That's really important. So
we'll have a follow up to that. Like, yes, pay attention to scale.
Yeah. So moving on to another 80s toy line, the G.I. Joe. I mean, I think I kind of predicted this a while back when I last spoke with you. I mentioned about doing animated G.I. Joe, and wow, I think we're on wave 3 already as far as pre-orders. Have you considered doing, like, not necessarily vehicles, because that would be preposterous, but you could do it, but something like a Trouble Bubble, or perhaps like Serpentor with his chariot, Zartan with with a swamp sled. Are those things that are, you know, possibilities for the line? Or?
You know, G.I. Joe's a really interesting line because the vehicles are so much more important to that line than they are in most other cases. You know, in most other cases, the vehicles are kind of an afterthought. And you've only got a couple where G.I. Joe, there's like 743 vehicles. Like they made vehicles of everything. Would I like to get there? Sure. Sure. That sounds dismissive. Yes. We want to do something. We want to get to some vehicles. I think first and foremost, you know, our focus has been, I need to get the Thunder Tank out. I need to get the Turtle Van out. I need to get, you know, Mandora's Electric Charger out. But Mandora's Electric Charger is a perfect example of like those smaller, you know, like Serpentor's Chariot, those smaller vehicles that are more easily done. They're less expensive. So we definitely got some ideas. I mean, it all goes around and around and around. I got kooky ideas to make that, you know, there's a couple vehicles that have never been made, but they would have to be so big. I don't know that it can even make rational sense to make them. Like, it's anybody would be like, oh, there's only one giant vehicle they've never made. So maybe that, you know, that's one where I keep coming back to like, that would be cool to make. But there's a few. So I'm dancing around it, but I'd like to get there. We're not there yet. I need to get a couple other vehicles out the door first.
Right. And recently you surprised us because a lot of people kind of missed the boat when the original solicitations came around and with the Ren and Stimpy figures. I was one of those people, and I'm so glad that you guys did a re-release on them. I used to love the cartoon. There was a lot of interesting and funny characters. I think there is kind of like a, you know, there's territory there for more exploring. Have you considered expanding the line? Maybe, you know, offering other characters like Powdered Toast Man or Mr. Horse?
Yeah, Powdered Toast Man seems to be the one that everybody's like, yo, I need Powdered Toast Man.
Yeah.
And you know, I think we'll probably do Powdered Toast Man in some time in the future. I mean, sort of like it took us a while to get to other figures for Toxic Crusader.
Yeah.
You know, but we just did Dr. Kill-Em-Off and Junkyard. So I think we'll get to Powdered Toast Man. It's not right around the corner. But, you know, that's another one. There's several of those lines right now where a lot of people just weren't even, I hate to say it this way, but just weren't even aware that we existed when we did some of this stuff. And,
right.
You know, the first Toxie is one of those. The Ren and Stimpy is one of those. The first Conan figures, like the Conan comic. And so while I don't necessarily always want to remake figures for people that weren't around, it's like, how can we update them or tweak them? In the case of Ren and Stimpy, there wasn't a lot, so we just simply made them available again. But like same thing with Toxie, we're like, okay, let's make it cartoon Toxie rather than remaking the old Toxie. So new cartoon heads, everything else like that, and then Kill-Em-Off and Junkyard makes sense. So Powdered Toast Man, I think we will get to in the future, you know, but it's sort of that same thinking around the LJN line of Thundercats, which is there's a lot of people that miss them, but those people may not be quite as diehard as the people that saw them. And so how can I make it so that person can get a Lion-O and a Mum-Ra and be excited by it? And at the same time, for that diehard guy, maybe there's a reason to buy it because it's different enough, but he doesn't need to. And so that's where you come back into like, okay, we'll make an LJN wave. So some people can jump back in if they never missed it. Some of the casual people that didn't know existed can get those figures and be like, oh man, these are just like when I was a kid. And then we can move right back into sort of more of the deep cuts that we're doing.
So Powdered Toast Man for sure. You think of any other characters that anybody's been asking you for from Ren and Stimpy? Because you wouldn't just make Powdered Toast Man as a standalone, right? You would probably
you know, there's some other stuff you can do. I mean, the funny part is that we have a whole log set that we've never released that we keep coming back to. we have a whole bunch of logs, and we keep coming back on figuring out how we release those. But like we have 4 or 5 different log figures that are done.
That's a cool idea. You could do like you did with the Mousers in TMNT.
So it's a log army.
Yeah,
You
that's
know.
cool. That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, in terms of showings this year in public, I know Comic Con for sure. Are you guys going to make a presence at any other show this year? Like maybe
Yeah, I
Comic
mean,
Con or
this year we're going to do San Diego Comic Con in July. We'll do D23 in September. We'll do New York Comic Con in October, and we'll do DCon in November, Designer Con in November. I think those will be the 4 shows for the year for us. I need to check in on unboxing, so we make sure that we're on unboxing next year. Last couple, they had it last year, but with COVID and stuff, there was no way we were going to go last year, and it was too late this year. But next year we should be back at unboxing, which happens usually then in August in Mexico City. That's a really great show, and a lot of fun. Yeah, that'll be, that's sort of the convention circuit, usually we are at WonderCon, but WonderCon is typically run by the stores, not by the brand, if you will. So the store will set up there. That may change in the future. We'll see. But yeah, usually it's that same thing. And then next year, in 2023, they've moved Toy Fair to the week. I think it's the week before, or is it 2 weeks before New York Comic Con? So you would go from Toy Fair to Comic Con.
So Toy Fair is going to be in October now?
Toy Fair is going to be in October starting next year.
New York Toy Fair.
Yeah, instead of February Toy Fair, you will have October Toy Fair. And I believe it's the week before New York Comic Con, and they're both at Javits.
Wow. So they're going to skip 2023 altogether as far as product, right? They're going to show 2024 stuff.
Yeah, you're going to go straight to New York Toy Fair, I think last week of September in 23.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. It's a lot of shows and a lot of stuff to look forward to. Definitely, it's awesome to.
It's going to be so much fun to be in person again and talk to people. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, I got to go to PowerCon last year. Talk to Josh and the team over there, and it was really fun to get out to a convention. I hadn't been out in a few years, so it's definitely going to be awesome to see, Comic-Con and all these other bigger shows, starting to get back into that routine again, because it's been too long, man. We've been cooped up at home.
It is. And it's just, if nothing else, it's just going to be so nice to sit down and talk to people and just catch up with people you haven't seen in years. There's so many of those people that I see them once a year at San Diego, and I see them for 5 days because they come by 5 days in a row. We talk and we catch up and whatever. And I don't see them again for a year, but it's been that way for 20 years now. Like, I've known these people now for 20 years, but my interactions with them are primarily just San Diego. So every year it's like, oh, what happened in your life this year? Like, what's going on? Oh, you had a kid. Now your kid's 17, kind of things. It's just, it sounds kind of corny, but there's nobody that's pissed off that they have to be at San Diego. Everybody's excited to be there, and everybody, as much as the lines and the crowding and everything else is difficult, everybody's having a good time, and it's such just a fun time to be.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make it this year, but I'm definitely, a buddy of mine. We're like, let's stop planning. Let's just pen it down and do it. I'm gonna go next year for 2023. Last Comic-Con I did was 2016, I believe. So it's been a while since I've done that.
Let's say 7 years.
Yeah,
that's a break. But
I did go consistently to about 6 SDCCs. So, I got a fair share of that huge SDCC experience, which is like none other.
Yeah, it's the same thing. People are always like, "Oh, New York Comic Con is just as many people," and you're like, "It's not even close to the same thing."
It's not at all. It's not.
Nothing is like San Diego.
Yeah,
I
know. Well, Brian, it's been awesome talking to you, catching up. A lot of cool stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, I wish I was in the office today where I could show you things. I know that sounds like a cop out because obviously I knew when this meeting was, but just in general, like I had to be here today. So we just get to talk about it, but I can magically go like, oh, bing, here's a test shot. Bing, here's another thing. Can't do that here. So, but we'll get, like I said, I'll get a video up this week of me and the Thunder Tank, and that'll hopefully get people excited because it's heavy.
I bet.
Heavy. Like I don't think people realize till they get it in hand. They'll be like, "Oh my god, this thing is."
I mean, it's massive.
Beefy.
It's massive. I'm gonna have it sitting on the floor in front of my shelf.
I think you should put it on your kitchen table and use it as the centerpiece. And like when you have hors d'oeuvres, you can just open up the cover and have stuff in there, and there'll be chips and dip.
That's an awesome idea. I don't think I want to put chips and dips.
I don't think anybody else in your house is going to approve that usage, but I won't fault you for doing it.
My wife would probably be like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea."
Yeah. And then she'd be like, "Now, how much was this again?" Yeah,
I hear you, man. But yeah, it was awesome talking to you again, Brian. And yeah, just look forward to seeing what's coming in the next couple of weeks at Comic-Con. It's gonna be
super fun. I'm super excited. Obviously, if anybody's watching and they stop by, say hello, please. And give Toy Addict 26 a shout out. Be like, that's where I watch you at. So all right. So I can tell you that people gave you the props, if you will.
That's cool, man. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much again for sitting down with me and talking, man.
Of course. Well, like I said, next time I'll hold up a whole bunch of stuff and we can look at this and look at this and look at this and look at this. And then we'll go from there.